I had always known that the ship was dangerous. The moment I set foot aboard the Ecliptic Sentinel, I could feel the weight of 1,000 eyes, not watching me but probing me as if the walls themselves were alive. And in a sense they were. The Auroran Collective ran its vessels with artificial intelligence so advanced that it felt as though every console, every hallway, every blinking light had a consciousness. My name is Cale Traven, human, age 29, former reconnaissance engineer for the United Earth Federation. That day, I was tasked with what should have been a routine maintenance inspection of a data core aboard the vessel. Routine meant nothing on this ship. Because somewhere in its labyrinthine corridors, a being existed whose reputation sent chills down the spines of even the bravest soldiers. Commander Lyra Sareth. Lyra was notorious across several star systems. Her judgment was swift, her punishments absolute, and her intelligence, legendary. Humans rarely survived a sentence under her command. Rumor said she once exiled an entire planetary sector because one of its citizens had failed to follow a minor directive. Lyra had no tolerance for error, and yet, I had made a mistake that was small, insignificant in the grand scheme of things, but one she would have noticed immediately. The mistake? I had accidentally transferred classified schematics into the wrong data bank. It was human error, trivial and easily correctable, but for Lyra Sareth, human error was an unforgivable sin. I didn't see her at first. I only realized something was wrong when the corridor lights flickered and a soft hum began to resonate through the walls. A signal I had learned in basic training meant she was approaching. Her presence didn't need announcement. It was felt. The temperature in the corridor dropped slightly. The subtle hum of the ship's AI seemed to pause as if it too were holding its breath. I froze, tools still in hand, as she emerged from the shadows. Lyra Sareth was exactly as I remembered, though far more formidable. Dark hair cropped sharply around her pale face, piercing silver eyes that seemed to see not just through me but into me. She approached silently, her uniform flawless, her boots making no sound against the metallic floor. "You made a mistake," she said. Her voice was a blade, sharp and uncompromising. "Yes, Commander," I stammered. "I can correct it immediately." She tilted her head slightly. "Correction is irrelevant. Punishment is required." My stomach sank. I had prepared myself to face interrogation, perhaps temporary confinement, or at worst, forced labor. But the word punishment from her lips could mean something far worse. The confrontation. She led me to a sealed chamber, her hand gripping my shoulder with a surprising strength. Every step echoed through the corridor, a relentless drumbeat announcing my impending doom. I knew I had no allies aboard the ship. All personnel obeyed her without question. Inside the chamber, the walls pulsed faintly with energy, a form of aurora containment field that restrained a person while amplifying neural feedback, a method she used to extract confessions, truths, and sometimes obedience. I was forced to the center of the room. The field activated, shimmering around me, restricting movement without causing pain. I swallowed hard, trying to keep my fear under control. Lyra's eyes studied me. "You have a history with me, human," she said slowly. I froze. Every instinct screamed that this was a trap. "History?" I asked cautiously. Her lips curved into a thin smile. "Yes, although perhaps it is you who forgot. Let me remind you." And then she spoke a name I hadn't heard in years, a name I had thought lost in the haze of my childhood memories. "Cale Traven. Do you remember the Aurora station on Viridian 4? You were a small boy then, and I was not yet a commander, merely a cadet. We were inseparable." The words hit me like a physical blow. Viridian 4. The lush, forested planet. The days of racing through crystalline streams, laughing under the twin moons, sharing secrets about our dreams. I had almost forgotten her face, but the memories flooded back. Lyra, younger, laughing freely, brushing leaves from my hair, promising that we would see the galaxy together. I remember," I whispered. Her eyes softened just slightly. The punishment stance faltered. "You survived," she murmured. "I did," I said. "I never thought I would meet you again. Not like this. Not in this situation." For the first time, her demeanor shifted. The aura of fear she carried was still present, but it was tempered by confusion, disbelief, and a flicker of nostalgia. I could see it then. The strict, ruthless commander I had feared for months was layered with the girl I had known as a child. The one who had loved the stars as much as I did. The one who had shared my secret hideaways and dreams. "Why did you never contact me?" she asked softly, though her voice still carried authority. I tried, I admitted. The war, the chaos, communication was impossible. I thought you might have been lost. Lyra's eyes glistened faintly. I thought the same about you. Her expression hardened again. Memories of the Aurora station had been buried under years of military discipline, of battles, of command. But something about my presence, about my survival, disrupted the calculated precision of her world. "Kale," she said finally after a long silence, "you are here now. I was about to punish you." Her gaze held mine searching. Yet, how can I punish someone I knew as a child? Someone I trusted with my life? I wanted to say something clever to ease the tension, but words felt inadequate. I took a deep breath. "Lyra, I'm still the same Kale you knew. I may be older, but I never forgot you either." The chamber was silent. The containment field hummed faintly, a reminder that the machinery of punishment was still active. And then, almost imperceptibly, she deactivated it. The hum ceased, the shimmer vanished, and I was free. The shift, from fear to alliance. From that day forward, our relationship changed. Lyra no longer viewed me as a subordinate to punish. Instead, she began to rely on me in ways that no other officer did. We worked together on missions. She observed my problem-solving skills, my ability to improvise under pressure, and my familiarity with human ingenuity, which often surpassed what her command protocols expected. Slowly, trust grew. The collective faced countless threats: rogue AI factions, interstellar smugglers, rival colonies seeking dominance. Each mission was a crucible. And in every crucible, our bond strengthened, not just because of nostalgia but because we complemented each other. I remembered the childhood promise, to explore the galaxy together. It was surreal that we were now doing so, not as children, but as equals in a volatile, star-spanning theater of power and conflict. Yet danger remained. The higher-ups in the Auroran collective had suspicions about our connection. Lyra's decisions were scrutinized. Alliances shifted. Treachery lurked in the shadows. And the memory of her almost punishing me remained a delicate topic, one that neither of us forgot. The climax, facing the ultimate betrayal. Months later, the ship received a distress signal from the colony of Thessera Prime. A rebel faction had seized control and threatened to destabilize an entire system. The collective tasked Lyra with leading the assault to regain control. Naturally, I accompanied her. The operation was swift but brutal. Rebels were technologically adept, more dangerous than expected. During the heat of battle, Lyra was cornered in the central command tower of Thessera Prime's orbital station. I found her surrounded by enemy drones, her path blocked. She fought, as always, with precision, but even she could be overwhelmed. I realized in that moment that everything, the childhood memories, the trust, the bond we shared, would be meaningless if I didn't act. I surged forward, using the environment to my advantage. Explosions erupted, sparks flew, and the smell of ozone filled the air. I managed to disable several drones and created a corridor for her escape. She looked at me, eyes wide, not with fear but with recognition. And then she nodded. "Just like old times," she said. We fought side by side, our movements synchronized as if instinctively recalling our childhood games in the forests of Viridian 4. And together we cleared the tower, securing victory. The resolution rekindled bonds and new beginnings. After Thessera Prime, there was a quiet moment aboard the Ecliptic Sentinel. Lyra and I stood on the observation deck, the stars stretching endlessly before us. "You could have been killed," she said softly. "I know," I replied. "But I couldn't let you face it alone." Her eyes shimmered, reflecting the distant suns. "Kale, all this time I thought duty required me to be ruthless, to enforce justice without exception. But seeing you again reminded me of another truth. Compassion and trust are not weaknesses." I smiled faintly. We survived because we trusted each other. Lyra's hand brushed mine. A gentle human gesture, but one that spoke volumes. I'm glad you are still here, she said. More than I can put into words. The months that followed were different. Our bond, once rooted in childhood friendship, grew into partnership. We led missions together, reformed command protocols, and became a symbol of hope for both human and Auroran personnel. The story of the punishment that never came became a quiet legend among the crew. Lyra Sereth, the feared commander, had spared a human, because he was someone she had once loved as a child. And I, Cale Traven, realized that some friendships, some bonds, transcend time, circumstance, and even the weight of duty. The galaxy would remember that day not just as a battle or a near execution, but as the moment two childhood friends reunited in a universe that had almost torn them apart. Because sometimes survival isn't just about skill or luck. Sometimes it's about recognition, memory, and the undeniable truth of shared history. And for us, that recognition changed everything.